What if one of the reasons intimacy keeps getting pushed to the bottom of your list has nothing to do with attraction, desire, or how much you love your partner? It might simply be that there's no real transition between everyday life and intimate life. You're answering emails, doing dishes, dealing with kids, scrolling on your phone, worrying about tomorrow. And then somehow you're supposed to climb into bed and instantly feel sexy. That's a pretty big ask. So today, I want to introduce you to something I call a love den. A love den is a space you intentionally create for intimacy and connection. And no, you don't need a separate room, a giant bedroom, or some elaborate sex dungeon. Your love den can simply be your bedroom, a spare room, or even your living room if you don't live with kids or roommates. It's less about where it is and more about what that space begins to represent. Because our brains are really good at making associations. When you repeatedly enter the same environment, turn on certain lighting, play certain music, experience certain scents, and then spend that time touching, connecting, flirting, relaxing, and being intimate with your partner, your brain can begin to associate those cues with intimacy. Over time, simply entering that space and beginning those familiar rituals can help signal to your brain and body, we're shifting into intimate time now. And that can be especially helpful if you're someone whose desire doesn't necessarily appear out of nowhere, like most of us. Sometimes desire and arousal begin after we start creating the right conditions for them. And that's part of the magic of the love den. You're creating a physical environment that helps you transition out of work mode, parent mode, chore mode, stress mode, and into a completely different part of your relationship. When you enter your love den, you're intentionally leaving the rest of life outside for a little while and saying, "This is our time." And today I'm going to show you 6 simple steps for creating your own love den, plus 6 rituals you can use to help to reconnect, build anticipation, create more touch, and bring some playfulness back into your relationship. And none of these rituals have to lead to penetrative intimacy. There's no place for pressure in the love den. So let's do it. Welcome to the Intimacy After Ostomy podcast, where we have conversations about sex, desire, dating, relationships, and changing bodies that most people are too uncomfortable to have. I'm Trina Ricketts, the Intimate Ostomate. I'm an intimacy coach, author, former adult entertainer, and ostomate. This is for anyone whose body no longer looks or works the way it used to, but who still wants to feel desirable, experience pleasure, date, fall in love, and enjoy meaningful intimacy. Please subscribe, turn on notifications, like, and share the episodes that speak to you, and help me get these conversations in front of more people who need them. Now let's talk intimacy. 6 easy steps to create your own love den. What's number one? Kind of obvious, right? You need to pick a spot. I recommend picking a spot for your love den that is private. So maybe your bedroom, or maybe a spare room. Or if you don't live with your kids and you don't have roommates, you could use your living room. But this would be the first thing that you do is pick a spot where you can create your love den. And when you hear the rest of the steps, you'll realize whether the spot that you're thinking of will work for you or not. Number two, mood lighting. Hello. Why does this fall off for a lot of couples? Or why do some people really like to be intimate with the lights off? How about we have kind of a middle point and we just have some nice mood lighting? Dimmed lighting actually can make us appear even more attractive than we already are. And it can help take away some of those insecurities we might feel if the lights are on. And also, if the lights are off, that really demonstrates our insecurities. So if we can have some mood lighting and try to not even think about our insecurities, that's the best for the love den. Number three, music. So as you can see, we're kind of going through all the 5 senses here, right? What do you see when you walk in the room? What do you smell? What do you hear? What do you taste? What do you touch? So thinking of that, you want to create an environment that is very enjoyable for all five senses. So number three is music. We want to be able to hear something sensual. And I mean, I really love my intimate playtime music list, my playlist. If you have a Bluetooth speaker or a stereo system, or if you're as old as I am and you still have a ghetto blaster, put that near or in your love den. Try to have like a musical something that's specifically in the love den. So you don't have to go running and looking for it when it's time to use the love den. And create a playlist of sensual music that makes you feel good. That's going to help set the mood. Number four, clean bedding. Now, not everyone feels this way. Some people, they don't care if the bedding that they're having physical intimacy on is clean or not. But some people, and I happen to be one of them, I don't feel comfortable being on dirty bedding. I know that I'm going to be throwing whatever I have my physical intimacy on into the laundry afterwards. So I recommend having some kind of clean sheet or blanket or something that you can lay over your bed or over your couch or somewhere where you don't have to worry about making a little bit of a mess. You don't have to change all the sheets on your bed afterwards, unless you want to. But I do recommend having a nice clean space for those people like me who the smell of dirty sheets or the smell of dirty blankets can really distract me. Number five, you need a little drawer or a little spot somewhere for your supplies. And by supplies, it could be something as simple as having some coconut oil nearby or some lubrication. If you use condoms, you want your condoms in there. If you like to use toys or you have some, or you want to maybe introduce some toys at some point in the future, you could maybe put those in there. Maybe you have toys you haven't used in forever. Put them in there. Put them in there in your little supply drawer or wherever. And if this is something that you're nervous about people getting into, then put it somewhere where it's either hidden or locked, and you don't have to worry about your children or your animals or anyone getting into it and you becoming embarrassed over it. And finally, number six, enticing aromas. And there's actually research on this that when you engage in something over and over with a similar or same scent, that after a while, when you smell that scent, you will have the same feelings that you had in those moments when you were engaging in that. And so some people do this for speaking in front of crowds. They wait until they have like a really amazing moment. And whenever they have that amazing moment, they pull out like a little essential oil or something and they sniff it. And they start to have a brain association with feeling good whenever they smell that and feeling confident whenever they smell that scent. And so they'll use that right before they go on stage to speak. They'll smell it and then they feel confident because that scent actually has an association of feeling confident for them. So you can use this in your love den. Pick a scent that you both love. I recommend essential oils because they're natural and we know that unnatural scents can be very toxic. You can get scented candles. I also recommend natural scented candles if you're going to do that, but whatever you're comfortable with. And if you can create an environment with a common scent every time that you engage, and of course it has to be a scent you both really love, then that can help you to get in the mood the next time you enter the love den. So those are the 6 steps. Very simple way to create a love den. And if you have more ideas, then go for it. You can put little statues or erotic symbols around the room. You can paint your walls purple. I heard purple is the color of intimacy. You could do different things to make it even more special. That's absolutely up to you. Throw some sexy pillows on the bed or the couch over the bedding, the clean bedding that you've placed over it. So there's lots of options for you to really make this a special place. But once you have your love den ready, there are 6 rituals that I really recommend that you engage in. And I just made this up. I didn't find this anywhere on the internet, but these are the kind of rituals that I engage in, and I feel that they really set me up to have great intimacy and feel really good before, during, and after. So here are the 6 rituals. The first ritual is the cleanliness ritual, and that's where we make sure all of our parts are clean. We do our best to not have stinky armpits, clean our down their parts, including the back their parts. Get that all cleaned up, because if you do end up engaging in certain activities where your partner is near those areas and they don't smell so good, that's going to be a turn off when you're trying to be a turn on. Now, I don't want you to get too stressed out about the smell, because that can also be a turn off when you're really worried about your smell. So if you showered and you did your best, but you could still smell a little bit of like maybe armpit odor or whatever, just try to ignore it and move on with your intimate encounter. I only say this because some people may not have a cleanliness ritual at all. And if their partner isn't really happy about that, but they don't have the courage to tell you, then maybe I can tell you. Cleanliness is really important. And the next ritual, number 2, I call this the sensitive skin ritual. And this can be a few different things. For one, if you have really long or sharp nails, especially if you're planning to touch your partner in a very sensitive area, I recommend filing down your nails, making them smooth and soft, maybe clipping them first, definitely filing them down. And if your nails are dirty, clean them. You may not know this, but I've heard this in my coaching, that dirty nails can be a turnoff for some partners. So spend a little bit of time cleaning your nails a couple times a week so that when you have these intimate encounters, you don't have to worry about that. Now, the sensitive skin ritual also pertains to ensuring that there's enough lubrication or oil used for any activities. So, for instance, digital pleasure on a woman's vagina, let's make sure that you're not forcing your fingers in. Okay, that actually hurts. So, it might seem like, oh, you just need to get past that kind of sticky part, that's sticking clothes together and not letting your fingers in. And once you get past that and get to the wetness, then you can bring it out and you'll have wetness. I recommend putting the oil on immediately. That's a sensitive area for a lot of people. And if you're not sure, ask them. Ask them if they'd like you to, use some oil. Me personally, I am very vocal about what I desire and what I like, and I insist on having some oil. I don't want people forcing anything into my body. It should be smooth and painless. And if I don't want penetration, then that should also be respected, but that's a whole other conversation. That's another ritual we're going to get to. And then the other ritual of sensitive skin is to make sure that when you're touching someone on their skin, that you're doing it in a way that is pleasurable for them. So watch for their body language. Are they trying to pull away from you? Are they trying to stop your hand, stop you from doing something? Are they laughing because it tickles? Is it not, what you're going for? Pay attention to that, because all of us have different kind of skin. Some people really love the light touch. Some of us, it tickles. So you want to make sure that you're respecting the desires of your partner instead of just going with what feels good to you. Ritual number 3 is the timeliness ritual. And the timeliness ritual really means 3 things to me. Number 1, it means pick a time of day for your intimate encounters when you both have some energy. I'm tired at night. I'm not in the mood at night. I consider myself a very high desire woman who enjoys and looks forward to intimacy. But if you catch me at the end of the day, then, and that was the only time you ever initiated, there's a good chance that our sex life is going to fall off the map, because I am exhausted at night. So respect when you have energy for intimate encounters and pick times of day when you have the energy. For me, that's morning and even afternoon. But once we're getting towards like the dinner mark and after dinner, I'm tired. And if that's what you're like too, and that's the reason why you never have intimacy, because the only time you're alone together is in the evenings, then you need to schedule some time. And that's another part of the timeliness ritual is scheduling time to spend in your love den when there are no distractions, no children or roommates around, the door is locked, and I'm not sure if I mentioned that in the steps to create a love den, but if you can, get a lock on the door. But create that very private space at a time that works best for you. The other one, the last one, is set the time. Set an amount of time that you're both going to spend together in your love den. I like an hour because I can fill up an hour with talking and cuddling and then pillow talk afterwards. Like I like to include everything in that hour. So it's not like it's just an hour of erotic touch. There's some tease and there's some talk and there's some cuddling and all that kind of stuff. So an hour can actually get filled up pretty fast if you aren't just focusing on the one thing that most people usually focus on. And like I said, I'm going to get to that. So number 4, the cuddling ritual. Now, I think it's really important to spend some time cuddling when you first enter the love den. You can get into each other's arms. You can have your clothes on, you can have your clothes off. That's something that's up to you. And I'll talk about that as well in another ritual. But cuddling to me is a great way to kind of set the tone of your love den encounter. And it's very non-pressure and it's connecting and it allows your bodies to be together. So you're not worrying about what the person's looking at because you're squished up together. Nobody's looking at each other's body. You might be looking at each other's face, or you might have your face against them or their face against you, and you're cuddling and talking, and I just love it. Now, if you're not into cuddling like arms around and you just want to like sit with your legs across each other or anything like that, cuddling to me is anything where your bodies are touching in some way and you're just connecting on like a person to person level for a few minutes before you get into the more intimate stuff, because you don't want to just go like straight from like walking into the love den to hot and heavy eroticism. That doesn't work for everyone, not even most men. So let's also smash that stereotype that men are always just instantly ready. No, most of us do need a little bit of time to get in the right mind frame for an intimate encounter. And desire often comes after initiation, which a lot of people don't realize because we are brainwashed by society to think that it comes spontaneously. And if it doesn't come spontaneously, then there's something wrong with us. So remember that you want to have a little bit of cuddling at the beginning. In my opinion, it's a very, very important ritual. So ritual number 5 is, I think it's my favorite, and that is the teasing ritual. So the teasing ritual can be made up of anything that involves teasing. It basically says the goal of this intimate encounter is not orgasm, it's not penetration, it's not anything in particular. The goal is to tease and arouse and pleasure, give each other pleasure, physical pleasure. And teasing is the best way to do that. I think teasing should follow the cuddling, and maybe cuddling will start and teasing will naturally unfold. But you could start with your clothes on and be pressing your bodies together. That's very teasing. You could wear some sexy lingerie or a sexy little, underwear if you're a guy and you don't wear lingerie, for instance. You can start by like massaging each other or trailing your fingers around each other's body close to all the spots, but never actually in the spots because you're teasing. And the teasing ritual is really about having no pressure and no like absolute goal in mind. Because if you spend an hour connecting with your partner naked or semi-naked in your love den, talking, smiling, and enjoying yourselves and touching and just enjoying each other, even if you walk away without an orgasm or without having penetration, you are going to feel good. You're going to feel more connected. You're going to feel like you love your partner more, and you're going to feel a lot more satisfied in your relationship. So I'm not saying that it can't go to penetration or that it can't go to climax. In fact, I often would prefer in my case that there is a climax. Who doesn't like to have an orgasm? But if it doesn't happen, sometimes it just doesn't happen for us, right? I mean, I think ladies and men can both agree that just sometimes it just doesn't happen for us, the orgasm, or sometimes the erection doesn't happen, or sometimes We don't want penetration. Maybe we just aren't into it that day. Maybe it's something that we just don't even want anymore at all. And that's possible. And so we have to get away from this idea that intimacy is all about penetration, because often we can bring intimacy back into our life when we leave that false belief behind. And finally, the pillow talk ritual. That's why I like you to set an amount of time in the timeliness ritual, because I want you to make sure that there's a good 10 minutes at the end of your intimate encounter in the love den where you can just decompress with pillow talk and words of love and affirmation. And, this is the point where you can be like, oh, that was so good. I needed that. What do you feel like having for dinner, darling? But whatever you do, this is the main rule. This isn't one of the rituals. This is the main and only rule of the love den, is that there will be no arguments, no fighting, no anger, no shaming, no blaming, no negative energy in the love den. When you enter the love den, you are giving love and you're receiving love, and that is all you're allowed to do. So if you ever find yourself in your love den and you can tell that there's starting to be some tension, uh, deflate that situation quickly, or make a decision that you're going to respectfully, kindly, lovingly step out of the love den to have your conversation. Don't be like, oh, well, now look what you did. We've destroyed the environment of the love den with your arguing. No, that is not how you handle that situation. You say, you know what? I can tell that we're getting tense right now, and maybe this isn't the best conversation for the love den. So let's just put it off for later and try to focus on what we love about each other right now. And if you can't bring yourselves to do that, if one or both of you can't bring yourselves to do that, then the respectful thing is to say, you know what? I feel tense right now, or I can tell you feel tense right now, or we feel tense right now, and I don't want us to create this negative energy in our love den. So let's let's put this encounter off until another day or another time, and let's get dressed if you're not dressed, and let's talk about this like adults. Okay? So I probably should do a whole podcast episode about how toxic interactions with your partner can interfere with intimacy and arousal and desire. That's not what this one is about. This one's about the love den, but definitely number one rule, no negative energy in the love den. And I hope you enjoyed learning how to create your own love den. And please tell me in the comments if you did this or if you've done this. Let me know how it went. Let me know the results. Tell me if you think I missed anything. Tell me if you think I'm completely wrong. I want to hear what you have to say. The whole purpose of creating a love den isn't to build the perfect romantic environment. It's to create an intentional space for the two of you to reconnect. And there's another reason I love the idea of using the same space and the same rituals regularly. You're building an association. The music, the lighting, the scent, closing the door, putting the phones away, maybe even the way you prepare yourselves before you enter the space. When those things repeatedly happen alongside affection, pleasure, connection, anticipation, and intimacy, they can eventually become cues that help your brain recognize, I know what happens here. This is our intimate space. Instead of expecting yourself to magically switch from everyday life into arousal, you're giving your mind and body a familiar path to follow. And I think that's especially important because desire doesn't usually come first, especially as we get older. I want your love den to be a place where your brain begins to recognize the rest of the world can wait. This is where we connect as lovers. And if you're listening to this thinking, I love this idea, but I honestly don't even know how my partner and I would begin doing this. That's exactly the kind of thing I help people with in my coaching, especially if intimacy has changed because of illness, disability, surgery, pain, erectile difficulties, low desire, or because penetration simply isn't working for you anymore. You don't have to recreate the sex life that you used to have. You can create a new version of intimacy that actually works for the bodies and the relationship that you have now. So if you'd like some help figuring out what that could look like for you and your partner, reach out to me.